Well, hi. Today is Friday, November 22nd, 2024, and this is Morning Coffee. Good morning. I'm Todd Studer. Winterfest is tonight, hours 6 to 8 at Bayless Park in downtown Council Bluffs. You're going to want to be there a little bit early because the lighting ceremony takes place promptly at 6. And I also had heard that the horse and carriage rides, that's not going to be happening tonight. There was a little bit of a illness, and so the city had made the announcement that the horse and carriage rides will not be taking place, but there's a lot of other things going on. You can take the family and eat. There'll be a food truck food court that is going to be down in the corner at the park, and also I will be at the Masonic Lodge and doing a Facebook Live tonight, starting at around 6:15 or so, roughly in that area. But you know how Facebook works. You can always just watch it from its beginning whenever you log in. So looking forward to seeing you there. Stop by and say hi at the Masonic Lodge. You can get free hot chocolate and cider, a cookie, and the chanters from the Tangiers, the Shriners will be there. So we're all looking forward to having just a wonderful evening tonight in downtown Council Bluffs. Travis Waldstein with AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning and Waldstein Plumbing is going to be joining us very shortly because it is Friday and we're doing another college football preview show and talk about the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones and the Huskers. All of that is coming up in just a bit. But before we get to that, you could really do me a huge favor and go to my website, LusHillsMedia.com, and take a look at it. And what I want you to do is look at it with a critical eye because Just Sue Creative, that's Sue Pitts, is the one that built that for me, and she did just a phenomenal job. And it's still growing. The website, we're still adding things to it. So stop over there. You can always see a link to the latest morning coffee show. You scroll all the way to the bottom of the website and you can see that there. And you can find links to my other podcast, Campfire Conversations, and other podcasts that we produce here as well at Les Hills Media and Podcast. So all of that is on my website, LesHillsMedia.com, and go to JustSueCreative.com to see all the services of what Sue can do to help you grow your business. It's another college football preview with Travis Waldstein, AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, and Waldstein Plumbing, and also based on the sign hanging out behind you, Circle of Trades, the podcast with Mr. Travis Waldstein. How are you today, sir?
It's another day in paradise. So yeah.
All right, coming up tomorrow, we're getting down to the end of the season here, and things have. Once again, injuries plaguing the Hawkeyes, and on the road for Saturday's game at Maryland, a team that I don't know. I think they're probably a little better than their 4-6 record, but they've struggled to win here lately.
Well, yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Their coach Mike Loxley. He's been around that program for a long time, and I like him. I think he's I think he's a good football coach. I was actually an O's guy. When he was in the East, it's like, okay, I get it. But now you kind of take a look at him this year and you take a look at their schedule and it's like, I don't know. What do you have? You look at their scores. They played Oregon not too terribly bad at Oregon. But then they lost by 2 touchdowns to Rutgers at home. You take a look at the schedule. Northwestern thumped them at home, but they played Indiana tough. So it's like, they beat USC. Of course, I know that was an 11 o'clock game for USC. Hell, they were just getting out of bed when that game kicked off. So, you look at Maryland and just kind of what they're, they don't have Tungaloa this year. So he's moved on, obviously. They got, Brian Ferentz is an analyst. And I think he was coming in to help with the run game and the run blocking, that kind of stuff. But it isn't like he'll be involved with the game on Saturday. So, he won't be on the field. So, and
it's, as we said, with the situation with Iowa, if there was ever a time that I was going to get to play quarterback, this is probably my best chance because they don't have anybody.
No,
everybody's hurt.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Iowa, if you listen to Kirk Ferentz's press conference on Tuesday, and I was listening to that conference, boy, their quarterback room is a mess. Cade can. What was it? Originally said, well, Cade's listed as number one, but they said if they had to play today, that whoever ended the game against UCLA would be the starter, which would be Jackson Stratton. Marco Lainez is, back practicing, and then it's kind of as the week goes in, it sounds like it's going to be Jackson Stratton. So it's like, okay, the number 5 guy is going to be the number 1 guy, and the number 1 guy has supposedly cleared concussion protocol. So it's like, I would love to be in the offensive play stuff in Iowa City to see what is going on.
Yeah, that's you got a guy that was playing on the scout team and wasn't even playing quarterback on the scout team, and you got him starting the game, at least as of right now. And I don't know. It's hard to say what's actually going on with this. So, the upside is that, look, even if they win out, it's not going to affect that much difference anyway, because they've already got the 4 losses. But I don't know. Who knows? It's usually times like this that they come out and put up 40-plus points. So
they've done it this year. I mean, that's the thing. You look at Iowa, it's like, it's a road game. It bothers me. But the one thing about this road game, well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that either, because, you look at Minnesota. They won in Minnesota, but they played terrible in the first half, and then the second half they turned it on. They went to Michigan State and totally laid an egg. Mm-hmm. They went to Ohio State and they played good for a half, and then McNamara turned into a turnover machine. So now you've got this game on Saturday. It is like, which Iowa team is going to show up? And you got Caleb Johnson. I think Caleb Johnson still got stuff to play for, but after the UCLA performance, the Heisman's probably out of the contention. He might get invited, or at least he'll get votes, but unfortunately, we didn't do enough versus UCLA. I know he's a semifinalist for a Doak Walker. I still think Caleb Johnson's a great running back, but it's just been the inconsistency all year. And the thing that bothers, if you go back to 2 weeks ago with UCLA, is just Iowa does not usually get out physical, and Iowa really got out physical by UCLA, and it's like, whoa, what is this? So I don't know. I'm actually glad this game's at Maryland this Saturday. Maybe they come in and maybe it's one of those deals where, hey, the football team finally decides we're going to ride some rights, and maybe they want to get to 9 wins, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know. It's a Jekyll and Hyde, So, it's definitely a Jekyll and Hyde as far as the schedule goes, as far as how they're going to play. And Iowa's a 6-point favorite in that game, but boy, about the only thing good is this year you could bet the over in every game, because Iowa's been in the over every game this year.
That's a complete opposite from last year.
Oh God. I mean, so. But so it's an early game, so we'll get it. We'll get it over with, at least for the this week, and then I can get scrap done, and and then come in to watch. I think that team from Lincoln plays that team from Madison that fired their offensive coordinator that almost beat Oregon last week. So are we going to have a 3-2 ball game in Lincoln this Saturday?
Well, that's I have spoken with a couple of Husker fans, and what we talked about last week, that you lose that game to USC, and then what? Now your back's against the wall, and everybody's thinking, different year, same story, and that's where we're at. And now everybody's preparing themselves to not make a bowl game again this year. And when you're a team, look, I'm sorry, but you can feel that coming from your fan base, and that's part of the problem. I hate to, to rag on the fans too much, but if you don't believe in your team, it's really difficult to get the players to buy into it. You remember Mike Riley's last game,
Oh,
that team had completely checked out, and the fan base had completely checked out, and there was no chance
the
that
entire South Stadium was black and gold.
Yeah. So
yes, if there was any doubt,
right.
and it was 7-7 at halftime, and Iowa just came and put 49 in the second half. It's kind of like, whoa, where'd this come from?
Right.
But,
so that's where we're at again. Now, I'm not saying that let's be honest, Wisconsin and Iowa, these are two winnable games for Nebraska, but they do have to go out and win them.
Yeah.
And, these are not at all gimmies. I mean, they should be able to compete, but you got to start believing that you can do it.
Well, listen, to me personally as an Iowa fan, Nebraska one of these years is going to get to a bowl game. And I think for Nebraska to a sort of relevancy, I think, they need, it's been 8 years, but 2016. Yeah. If I would much rather beat Wisconsin in Lincoln on Saturday, and if they're 6-5, because the pressure is going to be on if they come to Iowa State and it's a night game. And it's just, both teams are helter skelter. I mean, they got blew up in Indiana, and then they turn around and they almost beat Ohio State. So it's like, but the entire Big Ten's this way this year. Oregon's been this way. Ohio State's been this way. I think the new schedule and the travel and stuff, I think is affecting teams like we haven't seen just because of the travel and just got to remember there's 18 to 22-year-old kids. These aren't NFL players who are accustomed to doing it. So I mean,
to be honest with you, it's not just the Big Ten, though, Travis. It's across the board. Look what's happened in the SEC this year. Because you're looking at a very real possibility. Number one, that Oregon, in their first year in the Big Ten, could win the conference title. You're also looking in the SEC that Texas could win the conference title. You are looking at across the board, every major conference could see a first-year team win the championship in that conference. It's been a bizarre year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a bizarre. Well, look at the Big 12. Nebraska throttled Colorado, and now you look at Colorado; they're in the driver's seat. I mean, basically, if Colorado wins out, but Iowa State plays Utah and K-State. I mean, K-State and Iowa State. I mean, that game could be go to the Big 12 title game. Colorado plays Kansas, and Kansas was what 2-6, and now they're like 4-6, 5-6. I mean, all of a sudden Kansas started to look like what everybody thought they were going to be in the preseason. I don't know if they were hurt or what the situation is, but now you take a look at that Big 12, and if you're Iowa State, yeah, you lost 2 games, but they looked good against Cincinnati last Saturday, and they're going to have to go to Utah. I watched them play BYU, and they hung with BYU, but Utah is not what they've been the last 3 years.
No, Utah's under 500. Now they're a better team than under 500, but you and I were talking about this not that long ago, that not only about Iowa State playing for a conference title, but also having a real shot at making that college playoff, in the expanded 12 teams. Now, it would take an act of God to get them in.
The only team, if they win the conference, they'll get in. And at that point, you got to win the Big 12 championship. I believe it's in Dallas. So, and, it probably will be Colorado. But, I mean, listen, if it comes to everybody having 2 losses, I was listening to someone the other day. I mean, I think Arizona State's also in that group because it's Colorado, Arizona State, Iowa State, and I believe Kansas State. And I think of what it is, it's BYU. I tell you, but BYU's in that mix too. But it's crazy. It's crazy how that it falls into that mix. So everything's wide open. Like I say, if you're Iowa State, I mean, all you can do is play whoever's in front of you. And you got two tough games. You got to go to Utah. That's a winnable game for Iowa State. And you get K-State at home, and you throttled K-State last year with what's his name? That's the quarterback at Ohio State now. I don't know why I can't remember the kid's name, and he looked terrible in that game. So, but it'll be interesting. And then let's see. Did you watch any of the Iowa women against Kansas last night, or you and I beat Iowa State?
Yeah, you and I beat Iowa State. Now that was a shock. I mean, Iowa State went into that game ranked number 8.
Oh yeah,
Iowa looked very good in what, playing up in Sioux Falls in what looks like a glorified high school gym, but it's a different team. It's not Caitlin Clark.
No,
But they pass the ball extremely well. They've got some shooters. And this Iowa team, everybody's overlooking them because Caitlin's not there. And I think they might actually prefer it that way because now they're kind of sneaking up on people.
Yeah, and that's fine. Lisa Olson looked pretty good. I mean, Kana Stolke looked pretty good. The entire team. I mean, they've got players that were kind of marginal roles that are playing better roles. And Iowa's got some good recruiters. Iowa State was up in the third quarter by 7-8 points, and they looked like they were going to take control. And I don't know what happened in that game, but all of a sudden I looked back, and Northern Iowa was up by 15. It's like, this was like 5 minutes ago. It's like, what the heck happened here? So, it's crazy. I don't know. I can't get excited about, Iowa's men's basketball team. Iowa and Iowa State wrestle on Saturday. So,
well, there you go.
Oh, and I'm going to tell you what, that's going to be, if you go do reading Saturday night, I'm pretty sure it's on BTN, but Iowa State wrestling on Saturday will be a big deal. So, Kevin Dresser is going to get Iowa one of these years. I'm not sure this is the year, but boy, Iowa State's loaded in their own right, so that should be a heck of a wrestling duel.
Yeah, we've got a Keith Jones, who's both of us know, huge wrestling guy, and he probably could predict almost down to the point what's going to happen with that. He understands it so well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's. Yeah, I mean, Iowa State's got some. Iowa State doesn't have a number one guy, but they got some top 5 guys. In Iowa, like 125, they're not very good, but at 133, they got the national runner-up, but he's 7th in the country because he lost early. So, but Iowa's got some. You get into their mid and upper weights, they've got some guys. Yeah, it's if you want to go do it, it's gonna be fun. And I hate to throw a sponsor on here, but I know Bertha's always has the Iowa wrestling meets on. So if you want to go watch wrestling with your friends, I can promise you, Craig at Bertha's will have the wrestling meet on.
Bertha's is a great place.
Oh yeah, their wings, their pizza,
yeah,
their beer. Craig's kind of whatever, but
yeah.
No,
so
Craig's a good guy.
So if you're in there, you tell him how we gave him a plug, and that I'm going to come visit him and talk about a sponsorship.
There you go. Don't show up before 2:00 in the afternoon because they don't open till 2. But yeah, no, like I said, but they're open till like 3 in the morning. So if you got a 1:30 in the morning, hanger, they'll cook you up a pizza. That's not a problem. So.
Well, sir, always grateful for the times that you jump on and fill us in on your expertise on football, and we'll. To be honest with you, for me personally, I'm overlooking the Maryland game because I'm already zeroed in on the Nebraska game. So,
well, don't worry, I'll be over at Kinnick for that game. There's not even a question on that one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I've already talked to it too. That we're gonna Friday. I'm not gonna do a show on Thanksgiving, but for game day, I will have a show, and I'll be having a Nebraska fan on as a guest.
Oh boy!
I promised that, and he's an old radio guy that loves to give me a hard time every year. But we'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes. GBR stands for get beat regularly, right? I mean that's I tell the guys at the shop, it's like the Vikings, the Vikings and their Super Bowl trophies. And the Bears. Don't forget about the Bears. The Packers still own the Bears. So.
Yeah, they do. Well, at least by a fingertip, but. I was. A win's a win. I know.
Hey, when I hear win's better than a pretty loss.
That's true. When I hear somebody yell out "Go Big Red," my response usually is "Yes, please go."
Hey, gotta love my Nebraska fans as customers, but you gotta razz them. I talked to a guy today. He was telling me, and I loved it. He was great. He had all kinds of messages. He says, "Yeah, my daughter might wear this shirt." Yeah, Nebraska is like, the team that almost always, wins, is something to where they were mocking it because they haven't been wins. He's like, yeah, goes this day, I have to own this shirt. He says, that's kind of, that's, you're hoping you're going to win. You think you're going to win it. Then, oh shoot, we almost won. And
that's the theme every year.
Oh yeah. So, well, like I said, I actually hope they get the 6 wins before they come to Iowa City, and maybe there ain't gonna be anything to play for but pride. But I really don't want to see him coming in with the bowl game on the line. I don't know. I would feel a lot better, but I guess I don't have a choice in that decision. So we'll see what the football gods say happens.
We'll see what happens on Saturday. He is Travis Waldstein, air serve heating and air conditioning of Waldstein Plumbing. All right, sir.
Hawks.
Go Hawks. Speaking of football, we want to congratulate the Tri-Center Trojans. How about that? Their first trip ever to the Dome, and they're coming home with a state championship. That is very, very impressive. And from what I understand, this is a young team, so look for very impressive things in the coming years as well. Congratulations, Tri-Center. To the football team, to your fans, to the coaches, everyone. Great job. And everyone all across Southwest Iowa, we're all really proud of you. And also, the best wrestler, that is George Ivanoff. He is taking a group of athletes down to Tulsa for a national tournament. So we want to wish them good luck. If you have a young person that is really into wrestling and you want to be able to take them to the next level, no better club than the Best Wrestler to get them involved with. So if you go to thebestwrestler.com, you can learn all about who George Ivanoff is, his philosophy, how he helps the community, how he helps young people even past their wrestling careers. Just a phenomenal guy and a phenomenal organization. So check out The Best Wrestler. Also, Prairie and Pine Real Estate Group, that is Keller Williams, Greater Omaha. Mackenzie Shelton has offices not just here in Council Bluffs, but also in Omaha and in Lincoln. So she really has her finger on the pulse of what's happening in the real estate market all across the region. And as she was on with us a couple of weeks ago, she talked about that once upon a time, you used to see a little bit of a difference in the market from Lincoln coming up into Council Bluffs, but not anymore. Everything seems to be pretty close to exactly the same. So what happens there kind of happens here. But she's going to be a much better expert about that than I am. So if you're in the market to possibly relocate from one side of the river to the other, or maybe, potentially looking at an acreage, Mackenzie would be a great contact for you. That is a Prairie and Pine Real Estate Group, Keller Williams of Greater Omaha. Winterfest is tonight, so make sure that you stop in to the Masonic Lodge and say hi. I'll be over in the corner doing a Facebook Live and really looking forward to it. We're going to have some special guests come on too, so not going to spoil the surprise with that, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm also very grateful that the Masons made the offer that I could come down and do this with them. And even going back to the when we had them on a couple of weeks ago here on Morning Coffee, they're a great group of guys. And I've learned quickly just how much they do for the community. It's one of those things that kind of flies under the radar, but they do so much. And it's we're very, very fortunate that we have that Masonic Lodge and all of the members and the Masons here, right here in Council Bluffs. Well, that's going to wrap up another week of Morning Coffee. Thank you so much for your continued support, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. My name is Todd Studer, and have a great Friday.